Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here. Nickelodeon is best known for their television programs, but it's important to remember that they've also dabbled with feature films. And in this video, I'm going to be counting down my personal top 5 favourite Nickelodeon animated films. I hope you're ready! Number 5. Rugrats in Paris. Chucky Finster really wishes that he could have a mother, and his dad Chad longs for a new romantic partner. Meanwhile, Euro Reptile Land is planning a musical stage performance for their visitors, but their giant reptile animatronic has been malfunctioning, so its inventor, Chad's best friend Stu Pickles, is invited to Paris to come fix it, and is encouraged to bring his family and friends. Madame Coco, the flamboyant owner of Euro Reptile Land, needs to convince her boss that she's starting a family, so that she can get a promotion. She seduces Chad into falling in love with her, and her evil scheme succeeds. However, Chucky doesn't like Coco at all, and would prefer to have the theme park's princess character be his mum instead. Coco hates kids, so she doesn't care about Chucky's feelings, and will do anything to make sure that her wedding is pulled off without a hitch. Rugrats in Paris could have been just 90 minutes of the babies getting up to hijinks in France, and while these tots do go on cute theme park adventures, the focus is mainly on Chucky's emotional plot of finding a mum. He not only grieves for his mother in heaven, but also envies the love that his friends get from their maternal parents. So it makes sense that he has this want for a new mummy. Some might call Chad stupid or dumb for falling for Coco, but it's important to know that anyone can be emotionally manipulated, no matter how smart they are. That's just a psychological fact. Chad is a victim of a narcissistic woman who knows how to get her way. He's naive, but not dumb. I've been in Chad's position myself. It's hard to see the red flags when you're under an abuser's spell.
Cherie, I could listen to your fascinating health history all day.
Then I'll tell you all about my poor sinus drainage when I get back from the little boy's room.
Chucky also goes for his very own arc of finding bravery, because he needs courage if he's going to save his family from a predatory woman. And it's awesome seeing the nerdiest baby of the bunch discovering that he's stronger than he thinks.
I can't let that lady marry my daddy. It's like you always say, Tommy. A baby's gotta do what a baby's gotta do.
The movie all builds up to a grand scale finale, in which the reptile animatronic, piloted by the Rugrats, goes up against an animatronic robo-snail, piloted by Coco's henchmen, giving us a super fun and thrilling climax.
I'll launch them from the ground. They will go fly now. Their mommies have a cow.
By the end, Coco is exposed as a fraud, Chucky puts society's unrealistic princess mother dream, and Chad admits that he shouldn't have been so quick to fall in love. However, Chad comes to realise that Coco's nice lady act was actually stolen from her secretary, Kira, and romance is finally found. While I would have preferred a more humble ending in which Chucky comes to accept that it's okay to not have a mother, and Chad comes to peace with being single, there's still some value in the lesson that sometimes new family can be right under your nose. Rugrats in Paris isn't just the best Rugrats movie, it's also a great example of how a film based on a Nicktoon can stay true to their cartoon and still be a memorable standalone animated movie. Number 4. The Adventures of Tintin. Based on the comics by Hergé, this film is about a teenage journalist called Tintin, who gets caught up in the mystery of a legendary pirate treasure. With help from the pirate captain's drunk descendant, Archibald Haddock, Tintin must find this lost gold before the crooked saccharine reaches it first. This movie is good, simple fun. It doesn't try to be anything more than an entertaining popcorn action blockbuster, which is totally fine, and focuses entirely on keeping audiences invested in an exciting hunt for Buccaneer gold.
The Sheik collects old ships, and this is the prize of his collection.
Blistering blue barnacles, that is the unicorn!
As expected from a pirate captain, the treasure's whereabouts can only be found through a series of clues, and it's so fun seeing what little hints have been left behind. The movie also has a lively momentum all the way through, a rhythmic energy that comes from the characters' relentless need to keep moving forward. The adventure constantly changes things up too, because everything is always going wrong, which means a frequent change of vehicle or easy routes suddenly becoming obstacles. It's hard to be bored by this movie when the mission at hand is far from straightforward or easy sailing.
No. The fuel tank! It's almost empty! Captain, this may sound crazy, but I've got a plan. The alcohol in that bottle may give us a few more miles. I need you to climb out of the plane and pour it into the fuel tank.
Now, I've always had a troubled relationship with motion capture movies, because a lot of them hit this creepy, uncanny valley that makes me feel very uncomfortable. A soulless hyper-realism that's more haunting than charming. However, Spielberg's Tintin features some of the best motion capture animation I've ever seen. Nothing looks off or weird. Peter Jackson's Weta Digital gives us mocap effects that are both a cinematic spectacle and visually appealing to look at. I mean, if you said to me, how could a studio bring these comics to life? This is exactly what I would have imagined. Because Weta nails the transition from 2D to the third dimension. The casting for this movie is absolutely perfect. I can't find a single choice of actor that doesn't work. Jamie Bell is youthful and plucky as Tintin.
I know what Sakharin's looking for.
What are you raving on about?
It was written on the scroll. 3 brothers joined. 3 unicorns in company sailing in the noonday sun will speak.
Really?
Daniel Craig is effectively shady as Sakharin.
How could you let them escape? Find them. Find them both.
Don't worry, we'll kill them, sir.
No. You can kill the boy, not Haddock.
Comedy duo Nick Frost and Simon Pegg are flawless as the Thompsons.
Caribou Jean!
Does that mean anything to you?
Great Scotland Yard! That's extraordinary!
What is?
Worthington's have a half-price sale on bowler hats. Really, Thompson? This is hardly the time. Great Scotland Yard!
What is it? Cane's a half price
Are
too?
you going to take charge of this evidence?
And Andy Serkis steals the movie as Captain Haddock.
So, you thought you could sneak in behind me and catch me with my trousers down, huh?
Rather you kept your trousers on if it's all the same to you.
I know your game. You're one of them.
Sorry?
They sent you here to kill me, huh?
Look, I don't know who you are.
That's how he's planned to bump me off. Murdered in my bed by a baby-faced assassin.
Speaking of Haddock, this character is the heart of the movie, an excessive alcoholic who cares more about drinking than common sense. But with Tintin's support, he becomes a sober man who reconnects with his ancestry and learns that he doesn't need a whiskey or gin to be self-confident. When tempted by bottles of booze in the finale, he fights the temptation to not drink any, and instead uses them as weapons against our slimy villain that we love to boo and hiss. The Adventures of Tintin isn't just maybe Nickelodeon's biggest movie ever, it's also proof that they can leave their comfort zone and do something outside of their wheelhouse. Number 3. Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius. Jimmy Neutron is a child prodigy of science, with 2 best friends called Carl and Sheen. One day, Jimmy sends a message to outer space in a toaster. A race of aliens called the Yokians find said toaster, play Jimmy's video message, and pick Earth's parents to be the next sacrifice for their god, Pultra. After the Yokians abduct the city's parents while all the kids have been sneaking off to a new theme park, every child wakes up to find out that there's no parents in the city, and they embrace their newfound freedom, but soon become sick of eating too much candy and begin missing their parents. Jimmy discovers what's happened to everyone's parents, gets all the kids to turn the theme park's rides into spaceships, and leads an invasion of the Yokian planet to rescue everyone's parents. I used to have very cynical views on this movie, but the more times I rewatched it as an adult, the more things I started to love about it. Once you get used to the primitive animation, accept the reality-bending cartoon logic, and remember the film's target audience, you can really appreciate Jimmy Neutron for what it is, a very good children's movie. Jimmy himself is this wonderful role model, a clever kid with promising talent and a passion for inventing. Someone who will show kids that science can be fun. Even though his friends aren't as smart as him, he still respects them and treats them as his equal.
Hey, Jimmy, I see a frog. Oh, that looks great, Carl. Thanks.
While not every gadget he makes works, and kids like to tease his failures, the movie's story gives him a chance to prove himself as the leader of an ambitious space mission. The Yokians are also the perfect kids movie villains. They'll make kids laugh with their goofiness, but also prove to be legitimate threats to Earth at the same time. I particularly love the comical relationship between oddball Ooblar and the straight-faced king.
It's all right, I'll handle this. Hello! What galaxy are you from?
Ooblar!
Where is your leader?
Ooblar, stop it. It's toast.
I also really like how the film sets up certain archetypes and then smashes them later on. Like Cindy, who is introduced as Jimmy's mean school rival, but we later learn that she's just jealous of his big brain and has a soft heart behind her green envy. As well as Nick, a school bully who acts macho all the way through the film, but once he meets Pultra face to face, it turns out that he's not as brave and cool as he makes out to be. All while the very boys he teased and bullied become the real heroes of the movie. Jimmy and his friends actually become empowered by the very things that they were mocked for. Sheen is teased for obsessing over the superhero Ultralord, and he gets a chance to be his masked idol in the finale. Carl's show and tell of his inhaler goes embarrassingly wrong in class, but he then later uses said inhaler to fight off evil aliens. And Jimmy is bullied for his small height and failed inventions, but he saves the day by using one of his gadgets to become huge compared to the Yokin menace. I really respect this film for punching down its bully and raising up his victims. The film has a fantastic message too. After the Yokins abduct the city's parents, all the kids indulge in their new freedom, but it doesn't take them long to realize how much they need their parents. Sure, bad parents do exist, but the film wants to encourage the lucky kids to be appreciative of what they have. That no matter how unfair their parents' decisions may seem, their mums and dads' choices come from a place of love and concern.
Son, your mother and I just wanted to say good night.
Yes, and to tell you that we love you.
We only do what we do because we love you.
Maybe we can all go to Retroland next weekend, the three of us.
These kids not only learn to treasure the ways that their mums and dads show love to them, but also to not grow up too fast and be patient about becoming independent one day. I think that Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius is deeply underrated, and I regret any negative criticism I've ever given it in the past. It's a fantastic kids movie that's smarter and more heartfelt than people give it credit for.
Having a genius for a son may not always be easy, but it's always interesting. You make us so proud.
You sure do, son. You know, not every family gets to ride in an alien spaceship hurtling through the universe at warp speeds millions of miles from home.
Number 2. A little chameleon lives alone in a tank, performing plays with his cheesy knickknacks. But after his owner's car swerves, his tank smashes into the road, and he ends up in the desert, where he meets a woman called Beans, who rides him to her hometown of Dirt. The chameleon moves into Dirt, adopts the name Rango, makes up a mythical backstory, and accidentally defeats the local hawk, leading him to be assigned as the town sheriff. We learn that this town has a water shortage, and the mayor is taking advantage of this fact to gain power. As Rango soaks in his newfound glory, he starts suspecting that the mayor is actually crooked, but he doesn't have much time to crack the case when Rattlesnake Jake is on his way. So, I did a review of Rango 4 or 5 years ago, and you know what? That review sucks. I was a fool. I've come to love this film for the masterpiece that it is. It might seem like a goofy western comedy on the surface, which it is, but it's also a profound art house movie that waxes philosophically about relatable existentialism. The movie explores the very concept of identity using an anthropomorphic chameleon, which is genius. Rango has founded his persona on lies, because he isn't sure who he is outside the bubble of his tank. The more he commits to his sheriff role, the more he believes that he really is Rango. While he is a fake, there's something sympathetic about his internal struggle to know his true self, because we've all been there. When he's outed as a fraud, we do get a lies reveal scene, but it doesn't come with the stock dialogue and boring baggage we usually expect. Instead, it's a silent walk of shame, followed by a mystical meeting with the spirit of the West, who helps him to see the bigger picture.
I'm a fraud. I'm a phony. My friends believed in me, but they need some kind of hero.
Then be a hero.
Oh, no. You don't understand. I'm not even supposed to be here.
That's right. You came a long way to find something that isn't out here. Don't you see? It's not about you. It's about them.
The character designs are very strange, but I actually quite like them. They're this unique blend of realistic animalism and recognizable humanism that really helps the movie stand out artistically. It's a visual style that's certainly grown on me. What's amazing to me about this movie is that it feels like I'm only scratching the surface of its meanings and allegories. I want to watch it again real soon to read more into its symbolism, because I know that there's more layers to dig through and themes to explore. Rango dares to be more than your average family-friendly animated film. It's a poetic western that celebrates cowboy cinema and dives into the psyche of a hero suffering from imposter syndrome. The fact that kids were a target audience for a movie this philosophically deep is mind-blowing. It actually trusts that kids are intelligent and patient enough to enjoy art house cinema. Please ignore what I've said in the past. Rango is awesome and it bloody deserved its Oscar. Before I reveal my number 1 pick, I'd just like to remind folks to consider subscribing to my channel for more film and animation related content. Thank you. Number 1. The Spongebob Squarepants movie. SpongeBob is very excited to be promoted to manager for the new Krusty Krab do, but Mr. Krabs gives the job to Squidward because he thinks that SpongeBob acts too much like a kid. Meanwhile, the villainous Plankton is fed up of his plans never succeeding, but he luckily finds Plan Z in his filing cabinet. Plankton steals King Neptune's crown, then frames Mr. Krabs as a thief who stole the crown and sold it to someone in Shell City. Neptune freezes Krabs and gives SpongeBob a set amount of days to retrieve his royal crown from Shell City. Eager to prove his maturity, SpongeBob sets off on his quest with his best friend Patrick at his side. Meanwhile, Plankton steals the secret recipe for the Krabby Patty so that he can sell Mr. Krabs burgers at his Chum Bucket restaurant. Each customer is given a free Chum Bucket helmet. These buckets turn out to be mind-controlled traps. Plankton takes over Bikini Bottom and makes everyone into his slaves. Can SpongeBob and Patrick restore things back to normal and end Plankton's tyranny? Luckily, Neptune's daughter, Princess Mindy, is happy to help and support their mission. This isn't just a long episode of SpongeBob Squarepants. It's a full-on cinematic adventure. While it's basically a point A to point B journey, the movie keeps things exciting by constantly throwing weird and far-out obstacles at our heroes. We never know what kind of threat is around the next corner, making SpongeBob and Patrick's adventure completely unpredictable in the best way possible. From an old lady selling ice cream who turns out to be a predatory fish in disguise, to singing deep-sea monsters, to an assassin who wants to stomp them to death.
Don't worry, this'll only hurt a lot. I love this job.
The movie is also very, very funny. While not every joke lands, there's still an abundance of memorable one-liners and hilarious gags. It's a film that's great to watch with friends because there's so many quotable jokes.
Fill her up, please.
What'll it be, fellas? Mustard or ketchup?
Are they laughing at us?
No, Patrick. They're laughing next to us.
Plankton might be the tiniest villain ever, but his evil Plan Z is surprisingly clever. A scheme that truly feels like his greatest idea ever, as we finally get to see him rise to success.
All hail Plankton!
What's going on here?
All hail Plankton!
Seize him, slaves!
All hail Plankton!
But I think the best appeal of this movie is what SpongeBob and Patrick come to learn. They're desperate to prove that they're manly, to the point where they fall for fake mermaid magic, but they eventually come to the conclusion that embracing their inner child makes them happy, and self-love can lead to courage. Kids will love this film for being a colourful road trip adventure with funny gags and exciting conflicts, but grown-up SpongeBob fans will find something deeper, a message about staying true to who you are by keeping a part of your childhood alive. There's an assumption that turning 18 means giving up on everything that brought you joy as a kid, but I think that putting such a pressure on adults can be unhealthy. And there's nothing wrong with grown-ups still playing with toys, blowing bubbles, or eating ice cream. They're not hurting anyone. You can be a responsible adult and enjoy silly childish things. These are not mutually exclusive. This is why I think the SpongeBob Squarepants movie belongs on the #1 spot. It's a movie that captures the spirit of Nicktoons, while also appealing to kids of all ages, and speaking to the hearts of adults. It's an animation classic and Nickelodeon's best contribution to cinema. So those are my picks. What would your choices for the top 5 Nickelodeon animated movies be? Let everyone know in the comment section below, and don't forget to click that like button. Cheerio, folks!